Good morning, everybody. 8:16 a.m., July 27th. FOMC was kind of like a nothing burger. Um, we went up, we went down, couldn't go lower. Meta had beat earnings, um, and then we're off to the races today. So this market is resilient. It is bull strong right now, and you can't deny that. Um, anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. Welcome to the channel. If it's your first time here, my name is Steven Gonzalez. We use volume profile on market profile to just check the structure of the market, along with the most traded prices of the month and the week, supply and demand, and gamma exposure levels. And you try to stay on the right side of the market, right? You don't want price to fool you, right? Because it often does. It often does. And when you look at structure, it kind of keeps you on the right side of the tracks. That's what we try to do here. And this is your first time here, please subscribe, set an alert. Much appreciated. All right, always give me a big thumbs up, a like, smash it. That would help me out. You can follow me on Twitter, Gonzo719. All right. So let's get into the watch list. All right. So Nasdaq's the leader. It's up 1.42%. Couldn't drop below 375 yesterday. That was last week's lows, I believe. I have to look at that again. Man, I did have a trade on earlier in the week, and I took it off. Made money, but with Meta earnings, I took it off the day before. I was like, you know what, it's not worth it. Thought about getting a trade yesterday in the Qs, but then I said, what if Meta doesn't, it just wasn't worth the risk. But obviously now that would have been a nice trade, but that's trading, right? So you know what, even if it went up, that's fine, because what if it went down, and then I'd be like, what did I do, right? So you always want to keep your plans together. Without that crap, that's just my own stuff. Nasdaq is up 1.43. Crude's up 1.19. Now keep in mind with crude, okay? Keep in mind with crude. This is gonna now if crude keeps going higher, okay, this will affect the next CPI reading. Okay, so this has been talked about, how we started to go down. Now remember, energy is a big part of CPI, headline CPI, so you could get an uptick. Crude is going higher now, so keep an eye on that. Okay, ES up 0.7, the Russell's up 0.48. Gold, I have to look into this, but it's at 2016 now. Only thing I could think is this is a rollover. Not sure, but 2016, and it's only up 35%. That's the only thing I could think. I have to look at the months, but keep in mind, right? With silver's up 1.2%. So let's look at 10-year yield is up 0.26%. The Dow is up 0.25%. It's adding to the streak of up days, right? Ether is basically flat, up 0.11. All right, where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin is up 0.36. The dollar is flat, okay, at 100.86. Bonds, 30-year bonds are being sold. 10-year yield is up. VIX is down 1.52% at 12.99. All right. Let's get into the stocks that I like to day trade. All right. Big leader. Meta beat earnings. Big move. Huge move. Yesterday it went all the way down to 292. All the way down to 292. It is at 328. Man, up 10.15%. Oof. That stock was, I think, at like 70 something or 80 something last year. My God. Oh, uh, what a killer right there, right? Snow is up 2.5. I'm sorry, Snow up 2.35. Coin up 2.56. This reports earnings soon. Okay. Now, coin, I'm looking forward to hold this 102 level, the 101 level. Okay. So coin has been coiling up. So I'm looking at that. All right. Flip point 101. Gamma flip point, so 101. Um, Very interested in that. Nvidia. Nvidia. Nvidia is up 2.2%, right? So Nvidia, I'm looking for a pullback to 461, 460. That's what I'm looking at in Nvidia. Amazon's up 2%. I mean, these are all killing it, right? Tesla. Tesla's got to break 270. It's up 1.49%. Google just had a huge run up. Not really interested. AMD had a long in that yesterday. That worked out pretty good. Uh, that flip point, the gamma flip point, is 110. So that's been holding that 110 level, right? But it's got to get over 113. Now you have a bunch of moving averages in its way. Okay. Boeing beat earnings yesterday. Monster got upgraded today. Baba, loving it. I'm loving my Baba. Up 0.93%. It's still going. And I think it's going to reach 100. All right. Just added that to my portfolio. So that's working out pretty good. Netflix. Netflix is one I'm very interested in. Okay. Very interested in. So I want to see it pull back to yesterday's highs around that level. Then it has to break 430. 430 is a huge level in Netflix. You want it to break that level. Okay. You want it to break that level. 420 is the gamma flip point. All right. So 430 is a huge positive gamma level. So it needs to break that. But right now it's at 426.45. Right. So let's see if it can pull back. If it can pull back to yesterday's highs, that could be a nice play. All right. Apple, really not interested in it. Baba spoke about it already. There's no laggards, guys. Microsoft took a big beating. That is, let's see, Microsoft. So the gamma flip point on Microsoft is 335. Okay, so that's over it. It's at 340. 340 is a huge gamma level. All right, so that's got a lot of work on a daily chart, though. All right, it's got the 50-day moving average below and all that stuff. All right, gave you a lot of news on those. So Meta got an upgrade, Boeing got an upgrade. Okay. Let's see here. Who we got with us today? We got Wien, we got Rosita. What do we got? Somebody new? Well, that's all right. Let's move into top sector stocks, okay? Who's the leader? Roblox. Okay, Roblox reports when they report here. They report on August 9th, before the market open. Okay. There's my regret of the last month or so. I was looking at Qualcomm at 102. Was telling Rosita about that, and I didn't pull the trigger. That's one stock I did not pull the trigger on, which I should have. And had another chance at 113, and I just didn't do it. You know, can't always That is a thing that I'm not going to do again. That was a very nice buy at 102. McDonald's beat earnings. It's up 1.59. Roblox is up 2.13. Okay. Salesforce is up 1%. Is there a laggard? Not really. I mean, you can see tech is getting love. So defensive stocks like United Healthcare, Johnson and Johnson, they're kind of staying steady. That's expected, right? Because tech has just been obviously weaker. That's why I was so interested in the long and the Qs. But let's see, right? This market is gapping up, so we'll have to see. Let's go to sectors. No surprise here. Meta and communications, followed by semis, which would be AMD and Nvidia. Technology, Microsoft, Apple, Nvidia, right? Discretionaries, Tesla, Amazon, Home Depot. The only negative is utilities, and that's not much of a negative. Okay. All right, so that wraps up the watch list. We can get right into, I'm going to start something new that I'm going to just give you the upgrades and the downgrades. Okay. So let's go to that. This will be considered the market news. I'll just broad stroke it here. Okay, so what we're going to look at really quickly, upgrades. So we got Boeing, right? Price target's 300 now from 225. We got Meta. Price target is 389 from 313. That's really the only ones that I'm really talking about here. And we got downgrades. Cody, but the big one, RTX, Union Pacific. Now Union Pacific just beat earnings, I believe, but they just like raised the labor costs on some agreement, so that could cut into. That's interesting. Got a downgrade, but price targets have been raised on it. So let's look at that, right? Let's look at that. So price raises target, right? So Apple raises target from 175 to 195. That's notable, right? Chipotle got smoked with earnings. They missed sales, okay, and they had to do some price cuts, I believe. So they got a target raise, but it definitely took a big beating this morning. So, and what else? Meta, bunch of price target raises. You can see that bunch of price target raises, ranging all the way up to 425. Okay. Union Pacific got some raises. No, I'm surprised Boeing got an upgrade, but I'm surprised they didn't get a target raise. Oh yeah, it did. 250. So that was in a big channel for a while. Okay, that was in a big channel. I mean, we can look at lowest target. That's Chipotle. eBay got earnings, a little bit of a earnings miss. And that's about all, yeah, that I would say about that. Just wanted to go over that. What do we got on doc today? We have initial jobless claims comes out at 8:30 in 1 minute. Initial jobless claims. Consensus is expecting 235. Previous was 228. There we go. Oh boy. So we're expecting 235. We got 221. That's a strong. Now, that's a strong. That's a number you don't want to see, really, right? Because you want to see them get more, because then that means the Fed's doing its job, right? We'll have to see. So that's a miss. Okay. Got pending home sales at 10 a.m. Okay. Tomorrow's core PCE. Okay. Core PCE. And we'll just quickly go over what just happened real quickly. So we got Meta. Um, we need to know about that. Chipotle fell 8.5%. Because the pause in month-long price hikes hurt its top line. eBay stock fell 6%. Harley Davidson stock rose 0.8. Southwest Airlines stock fell 6.5%. Comcast stock rose 2.7%. McDonald's stock 1.8%. That's what's going on with some of the earnings this morning. Okay, MasterCard beat as well. So let's just really quickly, we can look at that. So this morning before the open, we had Royal Caribbean, McDonald's, Southwest, MasterCard, Valero, AbbVie beat. That's what's before. Now, after the close today's Enphase, Ford, Intel, Roku, First Solar, T-Mobile, United States Steel. That's all after the market today. And tomorrow, we have ExxonMobil, Procter & Gamble, Chevron, Chevron, AstraZeneca, Colgate, Palmolive. So those are still for the week. All right. So let's move on. Let's go right to the daily charts. Okay. Okay. So look at that resistance, boy. Let's move into here. That resistance right here. 456, call it, right? So you have one here, boop, came up, sold off, came up, sold off, but we're at 459 right now. So that's that resistance. Right there. 458. It's over it. It's over this 458 level. Okay. Let's look at it on a weekly. So here's this resistance, right? We are over this right now. We are at 459. So we're right there. Now, the market could push up maybe to 462. And I would just look for this 458 to possibly get a pullback here. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to set an alert here. We'll call this support here. Okay. I would like to see some type of pullback come back into there, right? Doesn't mean it has to happen, but I want to look at that, right? So here's that 458 level, right? Now, this was resistance. Now we still have this monthly candle has a high of 462. So that could possibly be the resistance. Here's the profile, right? I said this yesterday. Now look, the most traded price of the month had moved up higher here. I said a big move would happen, right? Well, it's happened in the overnight. Okay, the move has happened. So this has got an extension now. So let's look at it in the overnight. There it is, right? Here's that big volume. Boom. You're getting excess now. So now the question is, does it pull back to 458? Does it give everybody a chance? I believe it might. We're in supply zone right now, so it might. But you just have to be patient. You just have to be patient. All right, let's move on. Qs. All right, so the Qs couldn't quite come down to the 20 simple moving average. Okay, and this is what I was thinking. I put a trade on Monday here when I said, "Ooh, it broke this big level here and held it," right? Well, the trade's working out great now. In retrospect, like I said, Meta's earnings deterred me. In retrospect, see, this couldn't break down here yesterday either. This is also weekly, last week's lows, which I'll get into. And I said, you know what? This is going to be a good buying opportunity. And I was even talking to my friend Rosita and telling her I don't think the Fed's going to do anything because he has said the same thing over and over again. The only thing he reiterated yesterday was the 2025. That's the only time he sees the 2% inflation coming down to that, which means higher for longer. But he's saying that and the market doesn't care. And then he's talked about they don't see a recession for this year. They don't see it. So it's status quo, right? So now, obviously, it's up at 383. We're all the way up here. Okay? There's a little gap up here, but we're all the way back up here. So you're going to have this overnight, you're going to have a gap up all the way up here. Okay? Have to see what happens there, right? Let's look at the weeklies. So you see the 372 level is really what I was looking at, right? But it never came to fruition because last week's low, you see, if we get into, let's just get into this. This is the weeklies, right? This is last week's low. Look, it broke it, but only briefly. And it basically told us, well, sellers can't bring it lower and go to 372. Okay. Here's the monthly. So now monthly wise, look, we went up to we already have a high of this month, I'm sorry, at 387.98. So basically 388. We're at 382. Okay. 383. So we're right about here. So we have to see, do we go to this level today? I don't know. Here's the profile, right? Look what happened. Most traded price of the month moved to 376. Well, I said if that happens, big move coming, right? There we got it. We got the big move. So this is what I was talking about. Now, I'm going to zoom in just on last week and this week. This is what I meant. This was last week's lows. The orange. You see what happened? Look. Boom. Right to the tick. Boom. Almost. And this was yesterday. And I was foaming at the mouth here going, this should be, this was my opportunity. But then I was like, but what about Meta? Right? What about Meta? But it held it. And now we're up here. So let's look at it with the extended hours on. Look at that. So look, we broke this level. So this level right here is another 380.50. If we get a pullback to there, very interested in that. Okay. So we're coming up to a previous week's highs right now. So this orange here is another week's highs. This week right here. That could be a little point where it pulls back to, right? But we have to see. Oh. We have to see. All right, moving on to the Dow. It's been on a tear. All right, let's look at the Dow. So the Dow made a high 356 yesterday. Closed right at the previous day's highs, right? Whereas now 356.72, 356.72. So it's gapping up. Okay. It was moving a little bit of sideways, right? This 353 number. Okay. Now let's look at the weeklies, right? So this resistance here, We're over that now. Now you kind of got right here. I might put a level there. I think I'm going to. I'm kind of liking this here. Right there. So we got weekly resistance here. Then we got support. Then we got resistance. So 356.60. We're over this right now. We're over this right now. So let's see if this can hold this level. Let's see. Let's look at the profile. Look at that. 344. It's going to probably take this 354 to the most traded price of the month. So that was just really impressive. Really impressive. Holding last week's highs. Nasdaq was holding last week's lows. The Dow was holding last week's highs, right? Very important. All right, let's move over to the Russell. Russell, I was also interested when it came down here. Like I said, I did enter into the Russell. Obviously now I would be taking off a nice profit right now, but that's okay. Look at this range. So Russell, I love when Chief gives me news that I already know. That's why she's Scoop, otherwise known as Scoop, aka Scoop. But look at the Dow. I mean, it's the Russell. Really interested in this pullback. And now I'm going to have to wait, right, and be patient. Because look, 198, right? You got big resistance at 199. Probably even call it 200. Okay? Probably even call it 200. It's coming up there now. This was my target when I entered that trade that I had. So, very important level 200. Okay? It's been resistance and fell down, resistance and fell down. So, is this the time where it explodes? You know, because the next resistance is 209. We have to see. You can see I was very bullish on the Russell. Already moved the most traded price of 195. Held it, right? And you can see last week's, it was in the middle of last week, right? Never even threatened the lows of last week, right? So it's doing what I thought the move was going to happen. Now the question is, does it break 200? That's really what the question is now. Let's go to the triple headed. So the bond market, what's it going to do, right? What's the bond market going to do? Even though the 10-year yield is rising, again, just very interesting what's going to happen here. Very interesting. Let's go with the VIX. The VIX is very weak, down to 12.89. That is very big complacency. We haven't been down there since June of this year. Let's check out weeklies here. Wow. I mean, we haven't. This is pretty low. Let's go in the monthlies. I mean, really haven't been down here. Yes, in June, but really, I mean, this is going all the way back to 2019. Would be like 11.2. What's the low here is 11.75. That's 2020. So, very, very interesting. Let's go to the dollar. The dollar, you know, came down, moved up, now made down. Now it's, you know, dollar's in a little bit of a weirdness. area, but obviously this stays weak. Oil is going to continue to move higher. Okay, and that wraps up the triple headed. Now let's go to the market profile. We can see what's going on. Very bullish right now, this market. You know, now what happened yesterday, I mentioned this to Rosita. Okay, notice yesterday, let's get into the levels. Look what happened. The most traded price of the month, the most traded price of the week, and of yesterday all lined up. All lined up. That means a big move is coming. The big move has happened. Okay. So the most trades transacted here of yesterday, the month, and the week. So someone was going to get hurt one way or the other, and the shorts got blasted. Okay. So let's dive in. We do have a balanced profile. You have a lot of excess here now. It's very balanced. It does not mean it can't move higher, because it can, but it's running out of volume here, and we're in a supply zone. Okay, we're in a supply zone. So let's look at this. Okay, let's look at this as structure. Big levels here. Call that 45.84. 45.85. Let's call it 45.85. That's the line in the sand right now. Market just has to stay above that. That's all. Market's got to stay above it. What's a level that I'm also looking at? Okay, I usually don't draw these levels on my charts, but I will for this one. Around 46.09, 46.08, around this area. Okay, I'm just going to say around here. Okay, that's an area that a pullback would be very, very healthy, right? So now we know this is our line in the sand, 45.80, 45.85. Okay, we made a big move from this area. Okay, now a couple things here. Here's the 50% retracement, overnight halfback they call it, of the overnight. It kind of lines up with yesterday's highs and this level. That's why this would be very interesting if the market tests here. Doesn't mean it does. Okay. Now we have a large gap. This is a really big gap. Okay, this is about 20 points, 21 points gap in the futures. That's a large one. Okay, you have some single prints here. Okay, so let's look at this and break this down. So overnight inventory opened here. This is the short activity to all the long activity. So we're looking at about 80% net long overnight. Okay, here's the low. So everybody's long from here and here. Okay, that is looking good for a little fade if you wanted to possibly fade this, right? Okay, so that's one. All right, so we're in supply. So this is kind of setting up for a little bit of a fade. Okay, now the shorts are harder to do right now. All right, but so if you wanted to wait for the easier trades, probably the long. Okay, so we got to talk about our gap rules. So this would be a gap fill right here. Market is 80% net long. We're at the highs. Okay, you got the most traded price of the overnight here. Okay, so you want to stay above this. Okay, and let's talk about those gap rules. Okay, so gap rules is, we'll start from most bullish to least bullish. So number one is a gap and a go. Most bullish. I will not get in on a gap and a go. That's not my style. Okay. Number two is a pullback. I could see a pullback to here, and then it takes off. So it doesn't fill the gap. It fails to fill the gap. That's the second most. Third most. Market comes down, fills the gap, then it takes off. Okay, those are all bull. It's bullish, right? Now, bearish is if it comes down, fills the gap, but then starts working itself into this range. Okay, that means the buyers aren't strong at all, and we're probably going back to here. Okay, so now that you see that, you can kind of see scenarios. Okay, and we're going to get into that now. We're going to get into that right now. Oop. All right. So, market's a bull market right now. Okay. I don't think anybody could dispute that. Bulls have the upper hand. All right, so you just saw my bullish things, right? So, obviously, scenario one, we can gap and go. It's going to go without me, okay? Second is this right here, this area. If we pull back to the most traded price overnight and we kind of hold it, that could possibly be your next long. Test the overnight high, goes probably to the end of this supply zone. Okay. Second is either a pullback to yesterday's high, which would be right here, fill the gap, then it takes off, or to this level here, right, and takes off. Now, remember, it doesn't mean it has to take off. It can just do this, and it can start building volume out here, waiting for the next move. But that's all bullish activity. Okay. Now, bearish scenario. Okay. If you are looking for a fade, right? Now look at these single prints. They're starting to get cleaned right now. Okay. Now, if you're a bear, what you want to see is you want to see a push up, maybe even to the edge of this supply. See some failure come back in, do some lower highs, right? And then now you could, the market could start going down. Now this would be the test really though, this large volume of the overnight. You want to see that break, hold under it, and see if to fill the gap, right? There's the gap fill right here. Also half back the midpoint of this move overnight. And if you start creeping in, this is going to be a nice move down to this area. Do you get further if you break that area? Yes, you get into this demand zone. Okay, so your two tests are the overnight point of control right here, then followed by the gap in the midpoint and this prior high. Okay, this is going to cause liquidation. Okay, people are going to clear out and we're going to go back. Okay, so very, very important. Okay. All right, let's move over to the NASDAQ. Okay, so the NASDAQ, significantly weaker on the chart, right? So let's look at what we're looking at here. What do we have? We have thin volume here, excess, right? Now also in the NASDAQ, the most traded price of the month is now here. Okay. Most traded price of the month is here. I mean, of the week. Most traded price of the month is here. Okay, so that's our line in the sand. Right here at 156. 156. So 15,600 is the line in the sand. Okay, that's the line in the sand. All right. Now, let's look at so I gave you the levels, right? Now look at the inventory in the Nasdaq, right? So we opened here in the overnight. There's our short activity to all this long activity. Okay, that's more or less 90% net long. Okay, we're at the top of the range in the overnight. We're in supply. We're in a supply zone. This is a supply zone. Okay, so that's kind of tasty for a fade if you want to fade the market. Okay, you got overnight inventory is very long. You have longs from here, longs from here. Okay, you're at the top of the range, and you just want to. The most traded price of the overnight is right here. You got single prints right here. Okay, so that little toothpick that's holding this up, this is the test right here. Okay, because we're gapping up. So yesterday's high, yesterday's low, overnight low, overnight high. Okay, so here's another one that I'm going to put a level on here. So this particular right here, that's the level you want to look at on the NASDAQ. 15737. Okay, now that is a weak high that was broken. Okay, in the overnight right now, right? And look at the single prints from that level. There's no doubt about it that these weak hands had the cover cause these single prints, and now we're trading up here. All right, so you already know the gap rules from before. We can gap and go. We can fail to fill the gap and then go higher. We can fill the gap and go higher, right? But if we move back, this is not the gap. I'm sorry. This is the gap fill right there. And you got a demand zone right here. So, all right. So this is all bullish, right? Don't get fooled if the market starts selling off. That's all bullish, right? That's what I would be looking for. Okay. That's all bullish activity. So let's get into it. I'm going to make this quick. Okay. So if you're a bull, all right, you're going to want to see, even if the market pushes up, this is supply. So even if the market starts making lower highs, starts coming down, right? First test is here. Most traded price of the overnight. If that holds, then you're going to see the overnight high and possibly go to the edge of this supply. What do you have here? You still have a gap that's unfilled. Okay. What else could it do? It could take out these single prints, right? Boop. Now we're testing this level, this breakout level, and can it fill the gap into this demand zone? Can it hold? You're getting lower highs. Well, then you go. Your market's going to go higher. Okay. That's the scenarios. Now, looking at the bear scenario. Okay, if you could be licking your chops at this one. 90% net long. You got longs from in here. Longs from in here. Okay, and you have this area is the most traded price of the overnight. Now, that toothpick holding up this price right here is single prints. Okay, so in a bear scenario, we're in supply. So you could see a push up and then a failure, comes back to the opening, starts doing little highs. First test is here. If it breaks this, you're going to see a little flush. If it holds, you're going to see a flush again. These single prints get cleaned. Single prints get cleaned. Now you're going towards a gap fill. And you have this demand zone. This could cause a little bit of a support here. But if you break this demand and hold under it, we're going back down to yesterday's lows and the most traded price of the month. Then you have a big demand zone here. So I would expect the market to stop here. If it doesn't, then wow. But I don't expect that. I'm just saying this could possibly play out. Okay? Hope that all makes sense. And that's going to be it for me. We got our plans. Okay? We got our plans. We know where the market should get buyers, right? And why you wait for the pullback, right? Well, you want liquidity. You need liquidity. You need people to cover, to move higher. You need fuel. Okay? The market's running out a little bit of a steam up here. Okay? So people couldn't think they missed the boat. Sellers come in. Seller, 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 seller. Tries to push the market lower. Fill the gap maybe. Try to go lower. Try to go lower. And if it goes higher, well, now guess what? All the sellers from above have to cover, and that makes the move go higher, right? So that's I'm gonna go with the buyers right now. I got to be on that side, okay? I got to be on that side. So that's it for today. Again, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, set an alert, right? You can always give me a thumbs up, give me a like. All right, that would be much appreciated. Follow me on Twitter, Gonzo719. Set some notifications. That would be awesome. And that's it. All right, so we got our plan today. I'm really liking the plan today. It's very clear. Okay, very, very clear. We got stocks that I'm looking at: Coin, Nvidia, Netflix, Baba. We're looking at the pullbacks. All right, so that's what we have. Now, Coin is over 102 right now. Okay, so looking for a pullback there. 102, maybe set risk at 101. Like I said, it's been coiling. So, all right, everybody, that's it for me. I will see everybody or talk to everybody most likely tomorrow.